Hi, my name's Ed Turner. I'm Curator of Insects in the University Museum of Zoology in Cambridge. And we're here on the Cambridge Backs having a look at this patch of scrub. And what I want to show you is the kind of insects that can live in this sort of environment. And that's low trees and shrubs, and there's lots. This is an elder here, and you can see it's just beginning to come into flower. You can see that. So there's going to be lots of things actually feeding on the flowers, on the leaves, and of course lots of other insects and spiders and things like that feeding on those insects. So it's almost a whole ecosystem in its own right. With insects, it can be like that. The environment's a very patchy place because they're so small. So you can get whole communities of things living in quite small areas. The trouble is, because they're small, they're actually quite hard to see. So you need to have some kit to allow you to catch them and actually see them, get up close and personal to these insects. And what I'm going to use here is something called a beating tray. But to be honest, you could use anything. You could use a sheet, or you could use a white tray, or you could seal a tray from your cooker. That will do very well as well. And what we're doing is we're going to put this underneath these plants. So I'm leaving it flat here. You can see it's got a little bit of a kind of base to it, so things get caught inside. And another very technical piece of kit, which is a stick I've just found just down the way. So I'm going to give this a good old bash. So I'm going to put it underneath here. You can see this. So try not to let the insects go away too much. And I'm going to hit it very hard. So I'm going to beat up the tree. I'm going to do a few more over here just to increase our chances of getting some different insects. Oops, caught in a bramble there. Let's have a look. So if I bring this up close, I'll see if we can see what we've caught. I'm going to come down, if that's all right. So you can see we've got lots of elder we've caught, but look at that. Can you see lots of things scurrying around on the surface here? So actually we've caught tons and tons of really tiny insects. Again, I wasn't hitting it that hard, and I didn't do this for very long. So it gives you an idea of just the sheer amount of things that you can get. There's a spider disappearing off the side here, obviously a predator. So this will be here to eat lots of insects which are living in on this plant. We've got this little tiny scuttly thing here. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm just wandering along here. Little tiny scuttly one. There's quite a few of those. That's a book louse or a bark louse. Obviously there aren't books up in the trees, so it's not feeding on books, but probably will be feeding on lichen and fungi and things growing on the surface. Actually, it's quite a pretty one there. It's another book louse there. You can see with these beautiful patterned wings. Little poke. Little tiny thing, I don't know if you saw that, it just disappeared, kind of said hello to the book louse and disappeared off. That was something called a springtail. So that's a non-insect hexapod. I mean, it's a six-legged thing which isn't an insect. It's a group that branched out before insects became insects. And they've got the most amazing thing, adaptations, which is a spring. So hence springtail means literally they've got a spring in their tail, and they can jump out of the way if predators try and eat them. It's a really clever way of doing that. Now, if you can see here, there's a springtail there. If I give it a little poke, probably won't do it. But let's see if I can make him. Oh, it's going to jump. No. Impossible. But they can jump a long way. This one would be able to jump right out of this tray if it wanted to. Obviously I'm not being convincing enough in looking like I'm trying to eat it. And then if we look even closer in here, can you see if I move it around, agitate it a little bit, there's other tiny things in here as well. That little one there, there's a little tiny weeny long-nosed weevil. That's a little green fly there, or black fly, so kind of an aphid, which will be feeding on the plant itself, on the sugary stuff within the plant. Long-nosed weevil again. Another little tiny spider there, so another predator. Absolutely loads of things. And that wasn't very long that I was doing that beat sampling, but again you can see all this suite, this whole group, this whole community of insects living up off the ground in these plants.